The Strait of Hormuz, the short stretch of water between Iran and Oman, is barely 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. But block it and the world economy trembles. The escalating conflict between the United States, Israel combined, and Iran has now impacted the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian commanders have declared the strait closed, warning that any vessel attempting to pass through would be set ablaze. At least 5 tankers have been damaged. 2 crew members are dead. Around 150 ships are stranded. The Strait of Hormuz is not just another shipping lane. It carries nearly 1/5 of the world's seaborne crude oil, 1/5 of global LNG supplies. And here is where it hits home. With tanker movement suspended, nearly half of India's crude imports are directly exposed. 50% of India's oil imports are through the Strait of Hormuz, and the country is dependent on imports for over 88% of its oil needs. Refiners currently hold over 10 days of inventory and strategic reserves can be tapped. But a prolonged closure would significantly tighten global supply. Every $1 rise in crude adds nearly $2 billion annually to India's import bill. And prices could surge sharply if the blockade persists for a long period of time. India could explore other sources for its oils, but imports from Russia could face US sanctions. Sourcing from the US and other regions is possible, but at higher freight, insurance and procurement cost. A sustained closure could push crude towards $100 per barrel, raising inflation risk, widening the current account deficit and putting pressure on the rupee. The closure is just not another crude oil. LPG and LNG are even more vulnerable. India imports 80 to 85% of its LPG needs, largely from Gulf suppliers, almost entirely via Hormuz. Around 60% of LNG imports also pass through the strait. Unlike crude, India does not maintain large strategic reserves for LPG or LNG, and spot cargo availability is limited. If the closure continues, cooking gas supplies and gas-based industries could face sharper price pressure. Government sources say India currently has crude oil and petroleum products stocks sufficient for 50 days. The government, however, is exploring alternative suppliers for crude oil, LPG and LNG to meet demand if the conflict continues to disrupt energy flows. This is what Petroleum Minister Hardeep Puri said last month on India's contingency plan to meet the energy needs.
The country must have a very viable and secure reserve so that in the case of global turbulence, etc., we should not be found in a vulnerable situation. We are the world's 3rd largest consumer of crude oil. We have the world's 4th largest refining capacity, and we are also the world's 5th largest exporter of petroleum products.
This isn't just a West Asia war story. It's a cost of living story for Indian households. It's a business disruption story. It's an inflation story. If the Gulf burns longer, India will feel the heat at the fuel pump, in the kitchen, and across the economy. Bureau Report, India Today.